Hi everyone, this is Geography Girl, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Please like, subscribe and click on the bell for notifications for when new videos are out. So today I thought we would look at rivers, starting with the river system. So before we can go into rivers further in future videos, we need to just have a basic understanding of what the river system is. This is aimed at GCSE geographers, and I'm particularly aimed at the AQA specification. Rivers, if you do AQA spec, it is on paper 1, question 3. So question 3A, 3B, 3C, etc. is on rivers. Let's get started. Okay, so on this slide you can see there is a sketch of a river system. It is a basic sketch that I have done, but you get the idea here. This is an aerial view, so that means it is from above, a bit like a bird's eye view. It's taken from above. And you need to be able to recognise things like aerial images, etc., because that is a geographical skill that could come up in any paper, but in particular paper 3. Okay, so if you have a look at it, I've put A, that's where the source is. This is where the river starts, and it flows all the way down to C, which is the mouth, and that's where the river usually is going to the lake or the sea. Okay, all rivers are going down to sea level. They don't always make it to the sea, but they're always going towards it and towards sea level. So the main river is the blue line running down in the centre, and then you can see there are other blue lines which are representing other rivers that are coming off of it, and those little smaller rivers are joining the main river. Those are called tributaries, and I have circled a couple of them in purple. Those are called tributaries. Okay, if you look at the third bullet point, I've written it out singular, a tributary. The point where the tributary joins, the point where the two rivers join, that is called the confluence, and that is circled in red. So you've got an aerial view here from above of a river system, and you can see you've got smaller rivers joining onto the main river. Rivers operate in what we call drainage basins. So a drainage basin is where any rainfall that falls will flow down into those rivers in the drainage basin. On the picture you can see a red line following the tops of the hills. Any rainfall that falls slightly to the right or left, okay, will go down into a drainage basin. So the red line goes with the red arrows. Any rainfall that falls within that red line will flow downwards into that drainage basin. Okay. The other side, if the rainfall was to fall on the left of the hill, would go into a different drainage basin, and that's shown using blue arrows. The red line that's following the tops of the hills is called a watershed. It is an imaginary line, and it's just to show the different drainage basins. Okay, so bear with me with this slide here because it looks really, really complicated, but we're going to break it down. So we've got green triangles, those represent very high hills, and then you've got these green curves towards the outside of the slide, okay, and those are just hills as well. The blue line running from the source all the way through to the mouth is the river, and you should notice that it has different thicknesses, and that represents the width of the river. So the source, where it has a very thin blue line, the river is very thin. There's not very much water, and then as you go through, it has more water. The pink are tributaries, so they could still be in blue, but I've put them in pink to make them stand out for us. The red dash is the watershed. Okay, remember, any rainfall that falls within those red lines, that imaginary watershed, okay, will flow down into this river, which is this drainage basin. Okay. So just a reminder, the watershed is an imaginary line that separates one drainage basin from the next. The river, which is blue, line. The river is fed by the rain that falls inside the red dashed line, and this area is called the drainage basin. The source is where the river starts, see the thinner blue line, and it usually starts in highland areas, so towards the tops of the hills, okay, because you get more rainfall there. Rivers at or near the source have the least amount of water because they don't have a lot of tributaries joining, and tributaries bring more water into the main river. Near the source, you've only got the water coming from that one place. So just a reminder, tributaries are smaller rivers joining the main one, and those are done in pink on this diagram, just to make them stand out. And the point where the two rivers join is called the confluence. Think of it like the slip road joining to the motorway. The river gets wider as you go from the source to the mouth, and we'll cover why this is in a later video. All rivers flow down towards sea level, even if they don't reach the sea. The mouth of the river is where it flows into a lake, the sea, or the ocean. Rivers flow in what we call a channel. Now, sometimes rivers flood. Next to rivers, you might see a large stretch of flat land on either side of it, which hasn't been built upon. And this is called a floodplain, meaning that it is land that gets flooded when the river overflows. And it's land that's meant to not be built on, so that the river is allowed to flood. Now, unfortunately, more and more councils are now granting permission for floodplains to be built on, such as for housing. And that is the river system in a nutshell. We've looked at what a drainage basin is, watershed and how that links to a drainage basin. The source and mouth of the river we've touched upon. We've defined tributaries and confluents. We've mentioned channel and floodplain. We've not done those in detail, which we will do in a future video. It's really important to know the river system because it will help you understand how rivers work. Next video, I'll be looking at river valley, so do tune in for that, and we'll then be moving through this module. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to do an activity based on what you've learned to really embed the learning, you could create your own river system. You might be quite arty. You might want to draw it out yourself. Maybe add some really nice labels, maybe that fold out. You might want to create a 3D sculpture, either using Play-Doh or something else. Anything that gets this stuck into your head. Okay, and you just need to learn it. You just need to know what a drainage basin is, understand how the watershed works in the sense of the imaginary line, and you need to know the word source, mouth, tributary, and confluence. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.